Hello, and welcome to Metachemistry. This is episode 132, and we're here with another Winner's Circle segment where we bring on a satellite or other major Infinity Tournament event winner and bring them on to talk about their success, talk about their games, some interesting lessons throughout, as well as some kind of words of wisdom to help you all listening to kind of up your game. And today we have none other than Rob Paul, aka CobraPrime, with us for is it the second time this year, Rob?
I don't really keep track, but that sounds right.
I think it was January. January sounds right to me.
Yeah, there was. I think the Las Vegas event was probably the other time.
Yeah. Sin City SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, welcome back, and thank you again for joining us. It's always a pleasure.
Glad to be here.
So we're going to talk about Beantown Beatdown this year, which was in Boston, I believe.
It was,
That
yes.
was the 6th and 7th of December. So shout out to Keith for running that event. I heard that it was really good. And I know you keep asking me to come out, and I'm sorry, but it's like, stop having it on my birthday, and maybe I could make it. All right?
Yeah. I hope you had a great birthday.
Yeah, it was a good time. No Infinity tournaments, but it was fun regardless. But before we dive into the event, I want to give a quick shout out to Mo Games, sponsor of Metachemistry. If you were looking for more Infinity goodies, you can find them over at mo-games.com. And as part of their sponsorship of the show, all of our patrons of any paid level will get a 10% discount code that you can use at that store. And if you're just part of our Discord group, whether you're a patron or not, you can be entered in for a monthly raffle to win a $40 coupon code. So to win that, you just join our Discord, you pick the Mo Giveaways role, and then as long as you have a US address for Mo to ship to, you have a chance to win. Because what's better than games? Mo Games. So, of course, tonight we have Ian and Rob. And so, Rob, talk to us a little bit about the Beantown Beatdown, about the location, the venue, and just kind of like general event stuff. Anything that stood out to you?
Sure. So this is my first time going up to the Beantown Beatdown, and it's kind of in my neighborhood. It's a little bit too far to drive. I think it would be like an 8-hour drive, which is just kind of out of my range for driving. But it was only a 1-hour flight, so that was very convenient.
Nice.
It was at a decent time of the year. My wife doesn't usually let me do things during December because she wants to fill up the month with Christmas stuff. But this last weekend, she decided that she wanted to do a play date with my son and his 4 friends. So she said, "Hey, are you going to be doing any Infinity events soon?" I'm like, "Well, I could do an Infinity event." So I signed up basically at the last minute, like on the Monday before the event, and made all the arrangements real quick. Used some points to fly out there. The hotel was really nice. It was at a gaming convention. I can't
Everwinter,
remember
I believe.
Everwinter, that's right. Yep. So there was a lot of other games going on at the time, but we got plenty of space. In fact, they managed to open up a few more slots after it had been sold out, which is how I managed to get a ticket. So, but they still sold out again. I think they were limited to 36 to 40, somewhere around there, but they sold all the spots, so that was great. The venue was very nice. There was enough room on the tables for sideboards, which is one of my favorite things. I really like to have room for sideboards. Everything wasn't too crowded. It wasn't too hot. There were no issues with the hotel that I noticed. The only minor complaint I could make was that the lobby was on the 3rd floor of the hotel, which is kind of weird. So you had to basically take an elevator no matter what, right? But it was really well situated within Boston. There were a lot of places around the hotel to go for food. There were some great breakfast options. So it was a really great venue, and the event was very well run. Like, I didn't notice any issues at all. There weren't any arguments or any drama. Everything ran smoothly. I was very happy overall with the whole thing. So I definitely recommend heading out, and if you guys are in the area for Beattown next year.
Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah, always good to hear. And it seemed like things were pretty good. I know Keith had brought up some issues with not OTM, with Corposphere.
Yes,
giving him a little bit of hassle, but
yeah, I sent
nothing that they couldn't overcome.
I sent CB an email, and they're like, "Oh, well, send us what the issues are." And they're like, "Oh, wow, we didn't realize there were so many of these issues." Apparently, there's a there's a page in CobraSphere where you can report issues, but like I didn't even know
Ooh.
it existed, right? Like, so it's in, if you go to your own, like your page, your little icon, there's a little hamburger
Sure.
menu, and in that hamburger menu there's a "we'd love your feedback" button. So if you know where it is, it's easy to find, but if you don't know where it is, it's not very intuitive at all. So if you have
Right.
issues with CorvaSphere, tell CB, because their IT team goes through those notes, right? And a lot of the stuff that was mentioned they didn't even realize was an issue. So now they know. Hopefully they'll work on it. So
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, I know they put an emergency patch through, I think, the Friday after the event, just a
yep.
couple days ago as of recording. So that's
Might
really
be
cool to hear
because of
because,
the email I sent. I don't know. I'll
right.
claim credit, right? That was totally me. Yeah.
Of course, it was definitely you.
Right. Definitely me.
Can corroborate that.
Hmm.
But yeah, very cool. Well, as far as Beantown goes, what was the lineup going into the event, and what did you bring and decide to face off with?
Okay, so I'm gonna look up the missions because I forgot already. I'm really bad
No
about,
worries.
like, I've prepared for a different event. So here it is. So
On to the next.
hardlock, corporate appropriations, supremacy, provisioning, and area of interest. Of which
A
I
lot of
had
ground control.
played three of them. Yes, in fact, that's one of the things I really like about this season is that there's a lot of ground control related missions, right? Like they used to be in the last season, the last couple seasons actually. You could just kill your opponent and be pretty assured of victory, right? Like if you killed all their
Hmm.
specialists, they couldn't push the button, right? But even the button pushing missions could just turn into, you know, beat down combats, and whoever came out on top of the firefight would win the mission. And that's not
Sure.
really the same this season, right? There's a lot more
Hmm.
intricacy to each of the missions. You have to do specific things in specific areas. And this lineup really highlighted that fact, right? Like it really said, hey, you need to go to a place and do a thing. And if you can't, you won't win, right? So I
Sure.
built my lists with that in mind. I took Bakunin. I think from what I've heard, I play Bakunin very differently than a lot of people. I don't really run hacker heavy. I don't run the cool hacker tag. I don't run a guided missile
Hmm.
launcher. Don't run a GoPod. So there's a lot of things that I do differently. I basically play melee Bakunin, which, I mean, honestly, I
Sure.
think Bakunin is one of the better melee factions. They have a lot of really good close combat options, and I love me some close combat, right? So I think that
Yeah.
they're in the contention for one of the top uh, melee combatant factions, and that's how I run it. So
Yeah.
that's what I did.
The density helps a lot, I'm sure. Like I feel like
Hmm.
they're not top tier necessarily, but you
Right,
can
but
bring so
everybody
many
could be good.
potentially.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard
Right,
to,
right,
to run a melee specialist into your backline and kill all your cheerleaders when all your cheerleaders have, CC 22 and martial arts. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
depending on
for
how you build.
sure. Right. Very cool. So, going into this, what was kind of your thought process in terms of getting ready for the event, and how did that manifest itself in your lists?
So I mostly, like I said, I hadn't played 2 out of 5 of these missions at all, and I played one of them one time. So I haven't had a lot of experience with any of these missions. So most of my preparation was in my brain. I was mostly doing theory crafting, right? And
Hmm.
so you did an episode a couple back where you had the guy on who did the data analysis, and he had his
Hmm.
own sort of program where he filled in what the missions need and like spit out what sort of similarities there are between missions.
Mhm.
And I
Sure.
was really impressed with that because that's basically how I do prep for tournaments. I just don't have a program for it, right?
Right.
Like I kind of write notes and try and figure it out. But that was very like
Yeah.
spot on exactly how I prep for missions. So I was really impressed with that episode. I really appreciated it.
Yeah, I thought
Um,
that was pretty cool because I agree. I feel like it's not a wildly uncommon approach in
mhm.
broad strokes, but having a dedicated tool set to assist with that, I found really interesting. So yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. That
Yeah,
was
I'd
really
really
cool.
like to see him publish that if he ever does. So as an example,
Right.
like for Hardlock, I wrote down like little notes about what each of the missions would need. So for Hardlock, I put down midfield specialists, mines, fast mover with smoke, and defend the beacon. Corporate
Mm-hmm.
Appropriation had strong arrow with MSV, Mines, strong mobile CC, jammers. Supremacy had midfield specialists, strong arrow with MSV, zone control. Provisioning, strong arrow with MSV, mines, mobile specialists, and area of interest again, strong arrow with MSV, mines, zone control, and CC specialists. So
Yeah.
since we
So a
had
theme begins to form.
a lot of strong arrow with MSV, right? Because you had to be able to prevent warbands with smoke from just running into the area, grabbing a thing and running away, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
you had to prevent models from getting into a zone to score. So being able to see into those areas was really important. So I wanted strong arrow, preferably with
Mm-hmm.
MSV, right? And a lot of mobile specialists and CC specialists. So that's why I went with Bakunin, because they have, Riot Girls who have MSV1. They have
Yeah.
some excellent other hard arrows. The Cenobites are excellent non-MSV, so that they're not necessarily blocked by white noise or albedo or
Mm-hmm.
disco balls are pretty prevalent, so they block everything. It's kind of hard to get around that, but that's why you have the mobile
Sure.
CC specialists, right? So that you can take out those areas or get into those areas and kill whoever's in them. You don't have to worry about seeing through it. So,
For
in
sure.
all, like I said, I think the Bakunin had the Riot Girls with the MSV. They had Orphans who have excellent MSV and in fire teams. And then I also used Sin Eater in both of my lists. I put a reactions on in one of my lists. I had a little bit of hacking, of course, because you can't, completely leave hacking off the table. And Uahu with a Riot Girl and a Timbot 6 is a pretty solid hacker. And
Yeah.
she did all of the hacking I needed for the whole event, so I'm pretty proud of her.
Sure. And it's such a low barrier of entry. Like it's
Exactly,
hardly a
right?
strain on
Very
the
cheap.
list at all.
Right. You just throw her right in.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I still wish she was in Tunguska.
Yeah.
Not
Tunguska
that I
has
need it.
plenty of good hackers. Yeah, I'll take Jazz and Billy. You can have Uhahu. Hmm.
Okay. They're in Corregidor. I'm not giving up anything.
Oh, well, I'll take what I can get.
Deal. Uh, but yeah, so one thing that's kind of interesting, and I guess your mileage may vary, but as far as something that can move quickly, take
Hmm.
up points in zones, and is just generally a good kind of sweeper style piece, I don't see a Go pod of any variety in either of your lists. So, what was kind of the thought
Yeah,
process there? Did that come across your radar, or were you just
it
do you just kind of write off vehicles?
no, I think vehicles are pretty good. And in fact, I got an email after the event from a Korean player who said, why didn't you have a GoPod? GoPods are basically auto includes here. And I'm like, well, the main reason that I don't play a GoPod is I don't own a GoPod. Um,
Fair.
and it's kind of hard to proxy one. Like I'm okay using proxies for some
Hmm.
things. For instance, I use a that missile launcher chick that nobody ever takes, but is in a bunch of factions. Uh,
Octavia?
yeah, Octavia. Like nobody takes her, but she's a really cool model. So I use
It's
her
a
as my
great
Riot Girl
model.
missile launcher. Right, exactly. But nobody takes her. It's kind
Yeah.
of sad. So I use her for my Riot Girl missile launcher, right? Because she kind of looks like my Riot Girls. Um, but I don't
Hmm.
really have anything that's even close to a GoPod, right? And they're
Right.
such cool models that I don't want to like despoil the use of the vehicles by not having
Mhm.
one. I guess I don't know. It's probably just something
Sure.
with me, but so there's
Yeah.
that, and also the GoPod is very much an aggressive attack piece, and it's very
Hmm.
good at being an aggressive attack piece. But usually, after it does its attack run, it's hard to keep it alive, right? It's very big. It's hard to hide. Uh, it it doesn't get cover, so it's easy to shoot down. I mean, it always has
Yeah.
visual mods, but if your opponent gets an active turn with some dedicated time and attention, it can take it out, right?
Yeah.
And
It's
much
fragile for
of
sure.
the yeah, much of these missions involved controlling territory and having stationary pieces that could prevent entry into territories. There wasn't a whole lot of go out and kill the other guy, right? And while you can
Hmm.
certainly use attack pieces to go out and take out specific strategic units, that wasn't what I was focusing on. So I couldn't really find the points for it, even if I had the model. Like I don't, it wasn't a priority for me because of the way the missions
Hmm.
were set up. So that's why I didn't use a
Gotcha.
GoPod.
That's fair. Yeah. Reasonable. And I
Hmm.
think the other thing that kind of stands out to me as unconventional or otherwise interesting is the orphan. I mean, you very commonly will see the engineer or engineer repeater,
Hmm.
but I don't know if I've ever seen the MSV2 multi marksman on the table. What
I
was the
don't know
thought there?
why
Was it
more
just
people don't use him. I mean, he's amazing.
Mhm.
He's cheap. He's 25 points. He's got MSV2 with a BS12 and mimetism. So he's a great shooter. He goes in fire teams pretty easily. Um, like I said, I don't understand why people don't use him more often. Along with the rounder. So his job basically was to
Mhm.
watch something that I didn't want stolen and either cover it in a fire team where he has burst 2, or go into suppression and cover it so that somebody can't just run up in smoke, steal a thing, and run away, right? So both him and the
Sure.
rounder, their jobs were basically to sit somewhere, not get killed, and cover something within short range to prevent it from being stolen, or to prevent ingress into an area where somebody isn't supposed to be.
Mhm.
So, for instance, after I drop off my boxes into my zone in provisioning, I could put my orphan in suppression fire watching it, right? And then he's, you're
Sure.
-9 to shoot him because he's in cover in suppression fire, and he's got mimetism. He's got MSV2, so he's ignoring your mimetism or your smoke. Him along with the rounder, who also has marksmanship, means that it's kind of hard
Yeah.
to just get in there and spend those orders that you need in order to pull stuff out of my zone, right? So that's why he's in there.
Yeah. Makes sense. Like, it's one of those pieces that kind of reminds me of the Cheer Killer in Tunguska,
Hmm.
because they have a profile that's similar, but at
Yeah,
it's a
they do.
point cheaper, but it's a shock marksman rifle, so you lose the option of AP and the DA arrows.
Hmm.
But and it has super jump, but doesn't have mimetism. And
Hmm.
so I find it very hard to want to include the cheer killer, because I feel like maybe for me, I think it's the mimetism that kind of pushes the orphan over the edge. And then the option
Yeah,
to use AP, I feel like for 1 point, you kind of get a lot of what it actually wants to do. Whereas super jump's
yeah.
great, but I
I think
don't
the
think it's
cheer
enough to
killer
outweigh
is,
that.
yeah, it's more of a I'm gonna use it to move up the board and attack things, right? And the orphan can be used that way if you need to, but he's basically a third tier gunner, right? So he can,
Yeah.
if you need to, like, I have a ton of smoke in this list, right? So if I need to, I can smoke shoot through it with the orphan.
Hmm.
If I need to, I can put him in my 3-man fire team with a Cenobite and Mother Agatha and run up the board to take objectives, right? Like, he can be the shooter for Mother Agatha if the Cenobite is dead back in the back line somewhere.
Sure.
Um, so he's basically like a tier 3 gunner, but he's still a pretty good gunner, right? I mean, BS12 with
Yeah,
mimetism and MSV is no slouch, and then Mother Agatha's
for
right
sure.
there to get him off if he goes down. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. So, what was kind of the philosophy between your two lists? Were you doing this to prepare for a particular set in the lineup? Like, you had
Mm.
missions in mind, or you had opponents in mind, or tables in mind?
Yeah, so usually I will prepare lists for specific missions, right, based on the
Hmm.
needs of the mission. But as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the missions had the same needs. So this
Hmm.
time, what I did was I did a close range list and a long range list. So if when I get to the table, I see a lot of good fire lanes, right, and I have a place to put my rocket launcher and my Sin Eater sniper, and then there's still room for a Riot Girl missile launcher and a TR bot, then I'll use the long range list, right? If I see a bunch of close in range areas where I have to protect things that are inside 24 inches and there's not a whole lot of really long fire lanes, then, if I can find 2 spots to put my rocket launcher and my Sin Eater, then I'll use the short range list in order to cover those short range areas better with the rounder and the SV2 orphan and the bar spider and all the other melee monsters.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, especially with the missions having roughly similar needs. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's always good to be prepared
philosophical
for those sort of
ideals.
things.
Mhm.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, then, yeah, do you want to kind of start us off with day one of the event?
Sure. So day one, gosh, I don't. Let me see. I played. I think Hardlock was first, and then Corporate Appropriations. I'm pretty sure those are the orders. And I played a guy called Lightning Dust in round one. I had a really
Mhm.
fun game. Don't remember much about it. I'm really terrible at remembering what happens in games. So I've
Fair.
discovered
I
a
get that.
a thing in Infinity. When I lose a game, I remember everything about it, right? Like I go over it in my head. I think of all the mistakes I made, all of the things that went wrong, like anything that my opponent did wrong, right? Like I go over it and over it in my head. But when I win a game, I don't have that hyper focus on every little thing that happened. I just kind of move on to the next game. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't play a ton of Infinity, but like I've played enough over the course of my life that if I didn't brain dump after every event, I wouldn't have any room for anything else in my life. So I'm really bad at remembering what happened in games, especially if I won. So um, all I remember, it was a great game. I think actually all of my games were really good. Like I didn't have any
Nice.
issues with any of the players that I played. I played some really difficult players. Round two was a guy named Whale of Forum. He was a very good player. I think he was playing White Company, but it's kind of hard to remember. I need to look it up. Um, you know what? I
Sure.
don't think it's in Corvosphere, unfortunately. Third
Oh.
round. So another one of the artifacts of 5 round events when there's only about 40 players is that a lot of times your top table matchup will hit third round or fourth round. So third round I played low, and I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure that that was basically top table. Like I was playing top table third round because if he had beat me, I'm pretty sure he would have taken the event. But
Mm.
since I beat him, chance. I say that, but then round four I played Bruno. Bruno's also very
Yeah.
good. In fact, he was the winner of the Beantown Beatdown last year. I
Mm-hmm.
think Lobo was the year before. So, and Lobo came in second place overall, and Bruno came in third place overall. Now, that's not to
Yeah.
diminish my fifth round match, who was also very difficult, and he ended up coming in fifth overall. So he was still very good, right? And it was a very
Yeah.
difficult match. But round three was really like the key, I think, to the event. Winning against Lobo was probably the hardest thing that I had to do, and he like nearly pulled it out too. We were playing Supremacy, and every round I had to fight hard to make sure that I could keep his numbers down and to keep him in the zones that he needed to be in. And he took hard
Mm-hmm.
second, which I think gave me an advantage. Um, which means that he won the turn or won the roll and chose to go. Actually, I think he won the roll. I can't remember, but either way, he chose to go second. So I had
Mm-hmm.
deployment, and he chose to go second. I might have won the roll and chose deployment, and then he chose to go second.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm terrible with remembering the details of events,
No
but
worries.
either way, um, I think that that's probably what saved me. He did have a flyer, a devastating
Yeah, 'cause
flyer. He was playing.
he's on Next Wave right now, right?
Yes, he was playing Next Wave, and that
So the Skyhound.
plasma the plasma rifle or whatever that thing has is brutal, and all my
Yeah.
immunity arm models just melted underneath it. So, but in round one, I shot a pitcher in front of the area that he was hiding behind, and I isolated it, and it stayed isolated for the whole game. So I think that probably saved me a little bit. Um, I ran him low enough on
Sure.
orders that he didn't have the opportunity to um, to fix it with a gizmo kit engineer, which he had available, but he couldn't quite get there. Like I had a sin eater watching the lane, so he would have had to pop up into an arrow and then uh, take the chance that it didn't work. And he never really had the orders to spare to do that. And I have a feeling that that's probably the key that won me that game. I'm not really sure. Again, there were so many instances where if one thing had gone slightly differently, the whole game would have changed, right? That it's
Yeah.
really hard to tell what it was that tipped the scales. But in the end, that's what happened. So
Yeah, totally fair. Yeah, and I mean, I feel like that's probably any close game of Infinity, right? Like where, the margin is razor thin
absolutely,
and,
whenever two
one
players who
extra
are
save
both
or
equally good, go up
Mhm.
against each other, it comes down to the dice or just the luck on a particular roll.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Rob, I know you had mentioned most of your games tend to be at events, and so your general like density of games is
Yeah.
relatively low. What are your thoughts so far on playing Next Wave this year? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I played it once so far this year. It was
Oh, is
against
that
Lobo in round three.
it?
Um, so it was hard, right? Like they have a bunch of really cool stuff. Like the fact that
Hmm.
their line troops can be fixed by either doctors or engineers. You don't think that that's a big deal, but it's kind of a big deal, right? Like the fact that you could just take whatever you happen to have available, right? Like if you've got a line troop paramedic and you can get him up, that's cool. And if you have, an engineer to get him up, that's cool, right? Like you don't
Hmm.
need as much diversity in specialists when everything is techno-organic. So I think that's a really cool rule. I like it. I don't know if it's appropriately valued or not. It seems like it's only like a point or two, so kind of cheap. But I don't know. I think it remains to be seen whether it's appropriately costed or not. That and invisible
Sure.
dinosaurs suck. Let me tell you what.
Yes, they
Puzzlers,
do.
yeah.
They're so annoying.
Invisible dinosaurs. Haha. Emerat. What? Shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
To swear? I hope I'm allowed to swear.
Catastrophic.
Yeah, they're dangerous. So fortunately, Lobo didn't choose to push the deployment on them and try and put them up next to my DZ. He since it was
Hmm.
supremacy, you have to protect all four zones. So he placed them very very well and very sneakily in spots that he knew I had to go through, and I eventually did, and he used them very well. But they were emerats, so even if I had or failed the saves or the dodges, they still would have been points in zones. So I have a feeling that they weren't quite as effective on the mission as they would have been in some of the other missions where you have to get to a place and do a thing. Right? In
Hmm.
Supremacy, you just have to get to a place. So the Emerats are less effective, I think. But the
Fair.
invisible dinosaurs were no less effective for that law. So they're kind of scary.
Yeah, I agree. I've been playing some Next Wave. I've kind of rotated back around to Tunguska recently, but I've been playing some Next Wave over the last like month or 2 months almost. And yeah, it's been really interesting.
Played against a lot of Next Wave.
I took the
No,
Next Wave
they're
starter
really
set
cool.
as my prize for the event. So
Hmm.
as soon as I get them painted up, I'll put them on the table and see how they go, and then I'll give you a report on how good they are.
Nice. Sounds good. Looking forward to it. So yeah, it seems like a pretty wild strength of schedule for your lineup there.
I think so. Yeah.
And so let's see. So you played. So Lobo was round 3 on Next Wave. You said Bruno was round 4. He's
Yep.
on Whiteco this season.
Yep. He's playing Whiteco. And he had in the past. So I've played Bruno. He's in my meta, so I played him a number of times.
Hmm.
And the last time we played before the beatdown, he ran a fire team of orcs right into my DZ, killing everything with that burst 3 BS-20 orc with a
Yeah, the
boarding
shotgun.
shotgun. Yeah, and that thing was brutal. So I was expecting that. I eventually took it out with I think we were playing Crossing Lines, and I had Wolfgang Amadeus Wolf with his flaming multi rifle or whatever it is, and I moved him around and shot them all in the back from outside 8 inches so they couldn't dodge. And that was the only way I managed to kill that stupid thing. Um, this time he was equally brutal. He had the same orc fire team, which killed everything it got a chance to look at, but I was able to hide the things that I didn't want it to kill. So that worked out pretty well. We had a real knockdown, drag out fight in the center room over the provisioning box that had two medikits in it or two provisioning units in it, whatever it is.
Yeah,
We were playing
the tech
provisionings,
coffin.
right? And I
Mhm.
think like 5 or 6 models died in that room, just beat the crap out of each other. So that was a fun time, and I think the winning that altercation in the center room is probably what won me the event. Because if he had come out on top of that fight, he probably would have won the round. So again, it was very close. Bruno's very good.
Yeah, for sure. Oh wait, so there's an objective room. Okay, so that is that
On
right? You said
that
there's an
table, there
objective room.
was there's not like
Oh,
it's not in the event or it's not in the mission. It was just on that table. There was an objective room in the middle, right? So it was
got
just
it,
part
got
of
it,
the
got it.
train.
Okay, I was thinking like, wait, different mission then. Hold on.
No, the objective room wasn't a real objective room, but it kind of was because it
Yeah,
had the center, console that had the two boxes in it. So it ended up working
right,
just like an objective room. You had to get in there, kill everybody, and take the stuff. So
for sure. And then remind me your last opponent again.
his name was Dragoon X4 or 24. Dragoon 24. I think that's it. Yeah. Um,
Sounds familiar.
yes, I've played him before. Well, I don't think I've played him before, but I've seen him at several events, and I just blanked on his name. Like I know it, and it's gonna drive me nuts now, but I can't remember. I'm sorry. I always get
No
pressured
worries.
on these things, and I always forget stuff. So I apologize, Dragoon 24. Sorry, man. Um, just ping
It's
me and
all good.
remind me your name. Anyhow, he what was he playing? I don't know. You can look it up, right? You have the internet, and I'm sure it'll
Yeah, I
go
can
somewhere.
probably find that.
He
I
was
had the top 3, but I didn't have beyond that.
yeah, he was 5th. So anyhow, it was a real tough
Mhm.
fight. It was very
Mhm.
bloody. I know we killed the crap out of each other. What was the mission? Maybe I can remember from that. It was. It doesn't say. Oh, I'll look on my. This is such good radio. Area of interest. So
Sure.
yeah, that's the one where you have to. So area of interest is an interesting mission. Um, it was the one mission of the 2 that I had never played that I got a practice mission in. Like the day before, I got to do a practice mission with Wilson, Master of Melee, who's also in my
Mhm.
area, and he managed to get a game with me. And I was like, "Hey, I've never played this. I have to play it this weekend. Can you play with me?" He's like, "Sure." And it turns out that you know what? I don't remember if that was what I played with him or not. Fuck, I'm so bad at this. Anyhow, it turns out
Totally
that
good.
the ability to place the templates is really powerful. Um,
Mhm.
like I thought for sure that going second would be better, right? But depending on the board, being able to go first and
Mhm.
choose where the template is very strong because
Yes.
you like if you could place your own template right and you can put it somewhere where you can easily get a defensible fire team who has a hacker in it, which means that anytime somebody wants to push the button they have to face with your hacker, and then you can put the one that everybody has to fight over for the whole game somewhere that's really good for your arrow pieces or for you to advance and protect, right? So if you have stuff like mine layers or also could put out crazy koalas or just really good hard arrows, you can stick that template in a spot that makes it really difficult for your opponent to get to and really easy for you to cover and set up traps to get there. Um, and unfortunately, I didn't get to do that in either the one practice game that I played or in the event. But I think I'm going to reevaluate my determination of what it's better to do, right? Like, I'm not sure that it's better to go second. Because being able to kill things and jump in at the last minute did, in fact, end up being what won me the game. Um,
Mhm.
but I have a feeling that my playstyle lends itself better to setting up traps, fighting defensively, and being able to pick the terrain for that. So I think that in the future I'm going to try going first and see how it goes.
Yeah, the couple times that I've played Area of Interest, I feel like I generally would prefer to go first because of placement, and that's coming from someone who is generally more comfortable going second to capitalize on objectives. Like, I
Mhm.
most often prefer to play that way, but
So do I.
in Area of Interest, like, yeah, it definitely feels better to be able to dictate where on the table the engagement's going to happen, especially because the special area is scored round over round. So if you can place that somewhere accessible,
Mhm.
that is a huge difference.
Yeah, now that
And
you say
obviously,
that, I'm remembering that my practice game was actually with Bruno, not with Wilson. I played Wilson with one of the other missions that I hadn't played before, and he put the area of interest that we had to fight over behind this huge building that I couldn't get to, and
mm,
it
mhm.
like in the practice game he won because I couldn't get to the game or to the template in order to control it. It was just too far away. I think I ran 4 different units all the way over there to die to Sasha's flamethrower.
Oh
All
no.
4 of them. It was crazy. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a
Oof.
tournament game. It was just a practice game that we were playing on the
Sure.
Friday night before the event, and yeah, it was for my. I think I ran a riot girl, my orphan, Mother Agatha, and my Mar Spider over there to try and take that stupid zone, and he killed all of them with a Sasha with a flamethrower. So it's very sad. But the fact that it was behind a huge building and really hard for me to get to made all the difference, right? So it's a really
Yeah,
interesting mission. I'm looking
absolutely.
forward to playing it again.
Yeah, and I've been finding this season has been interesting because I generally prefer to go first if possible and hit hard and then mop up objectives. But I've
Yeah, it's kind of hard
really
to do
been
that.
on a lot of missions this season. I've
Yeah.
been going second on a lot of them by choice because of how the missions are set up. It really incentivizes me going second if possible. So it's been fun doing different things in some of the missions than what I normally would do, and building
Yeah.
lists differently to do that.
Yeah, get out of your comfort zone. Go
Yeah.
play defensively.
Mhm.
Haha. I mean, I like playing defensively. It's kind of my play style, but like you can't just play defensively and then do all the mission at the end of the game after you've killed everything, right? You also have to like go out and do stuff every round, like in area of interest. You have to score points every round, otherwise you don't win, right?
Yeah, and I like it a lot in terms of just general play of the game, where first turn isn't, there's a foil for first turn because of
Hmm.
that. And
Yeah,
scoring round over round objectives kind of forces interaction and makes it so that just, tabling your opponent is less desirable, right? Like, sure, you
yeah,
want to
it's not
do enough
enough.
damage, but not too
Mhm.
much. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
like that a lot, and I've been really happy with this season so far. Like it's a big departure from previous seasons, but I think it's really, with almost without exception, been for the better.
yeah, definitely. Like, I'm really happy with the decisions that CB made for the new missions. I am kind of sad to see some of the old missions go away. Like, I really like
Mhm.
Hmm.
Biotech War, but I'm sure that they'll be back in the rotation eventually. And I haven't played any of the missions that I don't like. Corporate Appropriation, where you have to like blow up your server and like steal your opponent's server.
Hmm.
Apart from the confusion over what you're supposed to do to which box, which is really a thing.
Hmm.
Actually, the tournament organizer at the Beantown made it very clear and in a way that I really appreciated. He said you have to get your own server to wipe your browser history, whereas your opponent wants to steal it. So you
Yeah.
got to prevent them from getting your browser history. I was like,
Yep,
oh, that makes sense. This one's mine. Gotta kill it. Got it. But it's a really
for sure.
interesting dynamic because you can't blow it up on the first turn. But your opponent
Hmm.
can totally take it and run away with it on the first turn unless you can prevent them from doing that. At this event, that's exactly what I did. Like I went first. I covered the beacon or the thing that I had to take with Eclipse Smoke. Grabbed it with my Chimera, however you want to
Hmm.
pronounce it, with and some Pupniks, and just ran all the way back to my DZ with it, covered by Eclipse Smoke. And then I put a bunch of mines and arrow pieces and suppression fire and a warband sitting around the other box so that he couldn't run up and grab it and run away with it the same way. And then on round two at my leisure, I just ran a couple warbands into it and beat it up. So
Yeah.
it's a really interesting mission. I really like the way it plays. Um, I mean, despite the fact that I got the box on turn two, it was still a really rough mission because he had some really good units to fight with, and he killed like army. But I think that that's kind of the way I play too. Like I tend to lose a lot of models, so I'm not too sad to lose my models as long as I get the mission objectives done.
So callous. But the paint jobs,
It's
Rob, the
fine. They've
paint
got
job.
cubes. They've got cubes. They'll come back.
There we go. Everyone
You can
wins the
build a pay me
cube
some more.
lottery in this force.
Exactly. Except the Morlocks. They don't have any cubes. That's fine. Nobody likes
Oh,
Morlocks anyways, right?
that's
We
right.
can always make more.
Very cool. So yeah, so how did scoring end up looking like? Obviously, you took the event, but how were you doing, like round over round, or like what was your total
Oh boy.
objective scoring?
Um,
The hard
Dude, I
hitting
don't remember.
questions, Rob.
I know, right? You got to prep me for these so I can go look them up. I think I had 9 on hard lock and 10 on appropriations, and then a 7 on supremacy. I think it was 9-1 or 9-2. I don't remember on hard lock. 10-1 on corporate appropriations, I think. I'm pretty sure it was 7-2 or 7-3. I don't remember on supremacy.
Mhm.
Provisioning, I think I ended with 9. Um, and then area of interest, I think it was only 8. Maybe even 7. I don't remember. It was really hard to get the zone. Like he piled all of his dudes in the zone in the last round, so I couldn't get to it. Most of my stuff was dead. So I won on classifieds and the controlling the button and controlling the other zones.
Mhm.
So I think it was 7 or 8, but I can't remember. So it was pretty strong
Sure.
overall. I had 5
Yeah.
major victories, um, no ties, fortunately, and uh, yeah. So I probably ended around 39 or 40 over the course of the 5-round event.
Very nice. Yeah. Yeah. Solid showing for sure.
hmm Yeah,
That's very
it
cool.
was a hard fought weekend, but it was a lot of. It was, like I said, one of the better events that I've been to. So.
Nice. And another thing that I'd be curious to kind of pick your brain about is crossing lines. Like, I know that this is kind of a polarizing
Oh
mission
yeah.
because of the deployment. What are your thoughts on it, and how did that end up playing out for you?
So we didn't play Crossing Lines at this event, but I really like
Oh,
the
I misheard.
mission. No, no worries. Um, I was mentioning Crossing Lines because the last time I played Bruno, he whooped me with that Orc Fire team. That's the same one that he used at this event. And because it was
Mm-hmm.
Crossing Lines, I happened to have that dude, the guy with the flaming multi rifle, Wolfgang
Wolfgang.
Amadeus Wolf. And he
Mm-hmm.
was one of my Crossing Lines guys, so he started in the midfield. So it was really easy to get behind them because he started behind them, right? So I think it's really interesting. The dynamic means that you never have a right answer about whether it's better to go first or second, because it
Mm-hmm.
really depends on what you're putting down in the midfield and what your opponent's putting down in the midfield, right? Because if you have a massive hacking presence and the midfield is set up in a way where you can put that hacking presence down and it can't just be immediately destroyed by your opponent, then go second, right? Like, because it's better to have the zone scoring at the end of the turn and at the end of the game by going second. But if it's really easy to get your guys who are already mostly into your opponent's DZ to a place where they can kill all of the important units, then going first can be critical, right? So I really like the dynamic that you never know what's better to do. It's based on tactical decisions at the moment. And I think anything that makes Infinity more reliant on correct tactical decision making on the table makes it a better game, because I think that's the core of Infinity, really, is being able to make
Sure.
good tactical decisions on the fly under pressure. So I really like Crossing Lines. Um, the fact that it means you have to kind of build a list with it in mind isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, there are not
Sure.
a lot of missions in this season that you really have to build a list specifically for. And it is still a zone control mission, right? So you're still doing the same
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things, but you need to have like your 75 points set aside that you're going to use, right? Like, you have to have a specific fire team that you're going to use if that's what you're going to do, or your midfield mine layers, or deployable repeaters, or whatever it is that you're going to be putting there. Like, you have to think about that. Like, it's a tactical, or a strategic, I should say, consideration when building your lists. But also, like, you can't just willy-nilly pick your faction or your list based on that specific mission too, right? Because you're going to have to fight all of the other missions as well. So you don't want to have a list that's just for Crossing Lines and then, be hurting on all of your other missions, which means it's just like every other
Mm-hmm.
season in Infinity, where you can have that one mission like Biotech 4 that you have to build for. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, totally fair. Like, I've only played it once, I think, and it was against Shazvasti, and it was pretty
Mm,
interesting. But it wasn't a showcase of kind of what I feel like are the most common concerns about the mission. Is that it's really heavy Alpha Strike leaning because you can over infiltrate basically like whatever your strongest hit piece is, more or less. Uh,
kind of.
so I didn't
So
really run into that.
one of the artifacts I noticed about the mission, though, is that you you lose the value of infiltration, right? So, like, if you're
Hmm.
taking pieces with infiltration, you're basically wasting those points because you can't infiltrate, right? You either go in that zone or you don't, right? You can't, unless you have a deployment zone parachutists, or
Sure.
speculos. What's it called?
In impersonation.
Impersonation, right? That you're not moving out of your deployment zone. Right? So it it means that once again, with strategic list building, you're like, when you look at something like a zero, like, oh, zero is a great hacker or um, for observer, but I'm wasting all those points to have a midfield specialist, right? When I could just have
Hmm.
a line troop forward observer who has basically the same stats, just doesn't have camo, right? And spend 7 less
Sure.
points on it. So that's kind of an interesting twist to list building that is really only found in this mission. And I kind of like that flavor. I wish they'd do more things like that where certain rules are not necessarily as good or perhaps better. Like, I think impersonation, which took a pretty big nerf in N5, is actually better because it's one of the few things you can do that lets you go outside of your DZ. So,
Yeah. Yeah, there were definitely a pair of speculas in that game.
oof, yeah, rough.
No Shiskin, but it was a Guilo duo with a Jaith, I think.
Yeah,
And then
they're tough now.
a Q drone in the mid zone
Oh,
also.
in the mid with
Like,
a plasma,
oh
yeah.
no.
Oof, rough.
Like, why would you do this? I thought we were friends.
No, no. Okay, it only just got mimetism.
That's right.
And a 6/4 move, and a template one. It's fine.
And full burst in a row. Yeah, it's fine. Um, but yeah, it's one of those where, like I said, I just haven't had as much experience with it, but
Mhm.
I can see why some people might be concerned when you can say, like, all right, well, I'm going to reserve drop Achilles into the forward zone, and I'm going to be 8 inches away from your DZ to start off the game with Achilles, or
Mm.
some of the
Well,
minor tags or things like that. But there are ways you can counter that if your opponent
yeah,
has those tools ready, and you kind of can't prepare for everything. Like if there's a warband rush, like somebody does a triple Cameronians in that zone, then your hacking resources are not going to be beneficial that you would use to stop, say, Achilles or a small
right.
tag or something like that. And so
Yeah, I mean,
that I find kind of interesting.
I've only played the mission twice, and one time I lost, and one time I won. So I
Mhm.
don't have any strong like experience with it. I think the time that I lost, I went first, and the time that I won, I went second. And the fact that I went first cost me the first game because I like the ability to decide where your points were at the end of the round was more effective than my alpha strike was, and it could have just
Mhm.
been the way I was playing French, right? So the it could have just been the table or the way my army was set up that prevented me from pulling it off and having enough points available to do the things I needed to do. But I think I mean, like, any army that you fight is going to have cool things, right? So it's really
Mhm.
about how you use your cool things. And if you have 3 Cameronians in the center there that are 8 inches from your opponent's DZ, well, I mean, that's what you got. That's the problem that you have to solve, and that's an interesting problem, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know if the mission itself makes that problem worse, because honestly, if I'm running 3 Cameronians, I'm probably running Wallace, and I'm gonna run them across the board and then coordinated order them across the board, and they're gonna be in your DZ anyways. So I'm not
Sure.
sure how much of an advantage that is. But again, I haven't played Caledonia since it's been reworked yet. So although now I want to because that sounds like a lot of fun.
So much
What have I
fun.
done?
Right. I don't know if I have 3 Cameronians. I'm gonna have to look.
Oh god, I have so many Cameronians.
I have a lot of Wallaces. I could probably just use different flavors of Wallace.
Yeah,
Or
There
not
we
Wallace.
go.
What's his name?
Oh, McMurrow.
McMurrow.
Yeah, yeah.
McMurrow.
I was gonna
Yes,
say
McMurrow.
Wallace on a big base.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
the
on a
same
motorcycle.
effect.
There you go.
Yeah,
No, I meant McMurrow. My bad. You can
yeah.
tell my brain is Swiss cheese.
No worries. But yeah, so one thing that's kind of come up both just in our conversation with this episode, but also a number of other times, is how different this season is. And it really has changed quite a bit, both in terms of the individual complexity of the missions and we've gotten deeper missions at the expense of a wider array of missions, which I find very
Hmm.
interesting. And
Definitely.
how has that been treating you in more general terms? And what has been kind of your strategy in preparing for these lineups with these mostly brand new missions?
So, caveat: I haven't played a ton of the new missions. Right, I've only played 4 events, I think, 5 events maybe with the new mission lineup. Um, and I mean, I've done all right, obviously, but it's I don't have a ton of experience with them. So anything that I say,
Mhm.
take with a grain of salt. But I think it's really good, right? So a lot of the changes in N5, right? Like the lethality changes with the special die edition
Mhm.
and the change in smoke grenades not getting the bonus, it changed a lot of the dynamics. And I think that the new mission sets with their complexity complements those changes, right? Because like you have to
Mhm.
go somewhere and do a thing. So the fact that arrows and active turn shooting is less lethal makes it more reliable to go to a place and do a thing, right? Which means that the decisions that you make about which fights you take are more important, because if you take a good fight, it's it's more likely to lead to success, and if you take a bad fight, it's less likely to turn on a stroke of luck, right? So like as an example, if I'm taking a bad fight, right? And my opponent gets lucky on their 2 dice arrow with a missile launcher, right? Or a sniper rifle. That's only one real hit that I have to survive in order for that um, bad exchange not to cost me. I'm
Sure.
not sure if I'm explaining this the way I want to be explaining this, but essentially, I think the fact that you have to go places and do things for so many of the missions, and the fact that special die makes combat slightly less lethal and armor is cheaper now, so and 2 wounds and no wounding cap, etc., are more available, means that fights last longer, they're less susceptible to one bad roll, and it means that the tactical decisions you make are more important than the luck of the die roll. And those tactical decisions are also more important for accomplishing the mission. So I think that that combines in a way that makes the game better overall. So I'm pretty happy with it. I hope all that made sense.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that it kind of mirrors at least some of what I've been feeling with Infinity in N5 slash ITS 17 as well, is that you kind of have just a little bit more opportunity to do things, and the missions are more likely to
Hmm.
push you into interesting situations because
Yeah.
you're not, a lot of players tend to be rather risk averse,
Hmm.
and so I don't want to risk orders or lose this or that, but these
You gotta,
missions will
or you
definitely
won't win the
push
mission.
players to
Yep.
engage. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
so I think that's really interesting.
For sure. So, yeah, I think that's definitely the case. Oh, like I said, overall, I think that the mission set is much more dynamic, as in you have to do stuff, right? Like you can't just
Mhm.
passively plunk your guys down in a zone and then not die, right? Which is, what Frontline basically was. I mean, you have to do some classifieds, but other than that, you just have
Yeah.
to get your guys into the zone. And sometimes you just start with your guys in the zones, right? Like if I just start with a speculo on a
Mhm.
roof that you can't get to, there's my points, job done. And all you have to do is not die. And that's not nearly as fun as, oh, I have to go to this place. I have to push this button. Now that I've pushed the button, I can pick up the box. Now I have to get the box into my DZ. And I'll have to make sure that I do that in the first round, right? Dun dun dun.
Right.
So yeah, it's like it's more dynamic and exciting, and you have to do the stuff in order to win the game. You can't just, oh, I'm going to kill all your guys, and then all your guys are dead, so I can just push this button whenever I feel like it, right? I think that's better.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And it doesn't it doesn't always feel like it, but I also agree that there's a little bit less variance, or
Hmm.
rather things are a little less likely to be quite as catastrophic, which kind of helps, like you said, keep your
Yeah.
game plan slightly more intact.
Mhm. Yeah, taking an unlucky crit on a missile launcher will still kill your guy, but
Yep.
there are fewer instances where that is the absolute case, right? Like taking a unlucky crit on a
Mhm.
pistol from Doctor Worm is much less likely to result in your death. So, you know, a little bit of
Exactly.
give and take there.
Yeah, for sure. So, with that said, I think we're about ready to transition over to final thoughts. But I do want to take a moment to say thank you to all of our patrons and other supporters of the channel. It really helps us a lot. So, thank you for being willing to do so. And if you would also like to support the show, and are able to do so monetarily, you can find us at patreon.com/metachemistry. Otherwise, the usual liking the show, leaving reviews, sharing, things like that, those are all super, super helpful as well and don't cost you a penny. But if you are able to join our Patreon, we try and reward you in return with early access to episodes, with private areas on our Discord, final voting on polls, and things like that to show our gratitude. And as far as our Discord itself goes, other than those couple channels, it is a freely open and available community. We'd love to have you there. So if you want to talk lists or show off painted models or sweet terrain or whatever your Infinity fix is, it's another great place to do it if you don't have enough Discord servers. So we'd love to see you there. And that is in the show notes, as always, if you'd like to join us. So with that said, Rob, any final thoughts, words of wisdom, like little nuggets of Infinity expertise that you'd like to share?
No, I mean, I'm going to reiterate that I think Infinity is, the greatest game because not only are you always making decisions, but, it keeps all of the players humble because even the best players make mistakes all the time. So, if you're playing somebody and they've got too much of an attitude to be, to be wrong, they're not going to play Infinity for very long. So I think that that's a good thing about Infinity, that our rules are complicated. It keeps our player base humble. And it means that we can all have a great time at events, like I had at the Beantown Beatdown. I hope I said that right. The event was great. If you can make it to Boston in December and not freeze to death, I highly recommend it. Other than that, I really appreciate you guys having me on and letting me ramble on about tactics and Infinity and the new missions, because I'm really excited to play this season and next season with a lot of these missions. So
we always enjoy having you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll have to go win some
it's
more
always
satellites.
a good time. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I know. Well, I forget exactly what you had said just a handful of minutes ago about not necessarily being the expert, and because I was trying to pull up some things on the Corpus Belli site to see if I could find some of the information we were looking at, I found the top 10 in the world list, and currently you are ranked 6th.
Oh, hey, look at me. I try to ignore those Spanish guys because they play so much. So I mostly just look at the U.S. rankings. How am I doing there?
I think you're number 1 U.S.
Yep.
Because you'd
There we
have to be,
go.
right? Yeah,
That's what I'm
exactly.
talking. No,
There
not
we go.
necessarily. I was like number 19th like a couple weeks ago. The last time I looked. So that's awesome.
Well, I just meant you were the highest U.S. player in the global rankings. You'd have to be.
Yeah. Well,
Highest U.S.
yeah.
overall.
Well, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, very
Appreciate
cool.
it. I mean,
Along
it
with
doesn't make
Fess,
me
who
the
just joined us
expert.
last time.
Nice. Oh yeah, that's right. That was a good episode.
So yeah, fair enough. Well, maybe expert won't be the word then. We'll just say a valued contributor.
Authority. Yeah, person who talks a lot. Those are all synonyms, right?
Definitely, yes. That's how I feel. I talk a lot, so I must know what I'm saying.
Exactly. If you
That's
talk a
how
lot,
it
you
works.
must know
I'm
what you're
sorry.
talking about. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Rob, thanks again. I really appreciate you joining us. And on behalf of Metachemistry, I've been Devin.
Ian.
And Rob. And that's the meta.